All right, next up on the show is Kyle from Surrey, British Columbia. Kyle, what is happening up in the Great White North?
So my question is, traveling outside sales rep, I go around, hit a lot of job sites, hit a lot of homeowners, banging on a lot of doors for architects and stuff like that. Loved your book, Fanatical Prospecting, huge fan. The only thing that I find is that you talk about just setting a time block, about 1 to 2 hour time block. And the issue that I'm finding is I'm having a really hard time doing that. My day yesterday, I was on the job site at 7:30 in the morning, going around, did 5 other appointments back home. I'm usually just calling from the truck, but I'm not tracking anything. And I'm just wondering, I know that you have experience with doing outside sales. And how do you integrate like regular time blocks when you're not sitting behind a desk? You're on the fly, adjusting proposals, contracts, in the truck, sending it off, Starbucks, kind of a coffee king and everything like that. I'm just curious on what your take is on that.
Sure. So I'm going to give you a couple of different ideas here. One is who's scheduling your day. So if your day is scheduled so you have to be on a job site at 7:30 because people start really early, then there's nothing you can do about it, like that. You're forced to be in that situation. But if you're scheduling yourself to be someplace at 7:30 that you don't necessarily need to be, like if you were there at 9 o'clock, it would be just as good. Then one thing is, think about how you're scheduling and managing your calendar. And some of that comes from you talk to a customer and they go, hey, I need you here at 7:30. Instead of you going, hey, if I got there at 9 o'clock, would it still work? You go, okay. So you're eager, like you just say yes to everybody and you schedule all those appointments. So that would be one thing to look at. If you have control over your schedule, then set your schedule up so you can start your day with a call block. And then you can, over time, like you can do that every single day. You'll cover your call block in the morning. And I'm not sure you need 2 hours. I think you need about an hour every single day based on the activity that you're doing right now. So that's where I would begin. If you don't have control over your schedule, so if you're in a situation where you're in the field, you're calling on architects and construction and you're doing like home services, you have to be out there at 7:30 in the morning because that's the only way you're going to catch the owners. I get that. And there's a lot of businesses that are that way. Then what you want to start thinking about, instead of time, right? Instead of thinking, how much time am I spending on the activity, start thinking about the activity itself. Does it make sense? Yeah. So rather than thinking, I got to have an hour or two block, think, how many activities do I need to do during the day? If we were to say, I don't think you need an hour. 2 hours. If you had an hour a day of pure prospecting based on the activity you're doing now, you're going to be just fine. Most salespeople will be. And if during that hour, you would typically say make 30 outbound touches or 25 outbound touches, then all you got to do is say, during the course of my day, I'm going to make 30 outbound calls. Pretty simple. And then what I did in that situation was I printed my list out. So it sounds like you've got Salesforce. You would go to Salesforce, maybe create a view or create a search, print the list out, put it in like a spreadsheet. And maybe for you, because you're driving around, put it like on a clipboard or something so you have the ability to write on it, and just create a place for your notes. At the top of the day, you set the goal that I'm going to make these 30 outbound touches.
Yeah.
Back when I was in your position, it was 100. I made 100 a day, no matter what. But I would have 5 minutes here or 10 minutes there. And it's amazing. Like if you say, I've got 10 minutes, I'm going to make 10 dials. And it's crazy how easy it is to do that. And if you're in your car or you're in your truck driving around, you got to be careful that you're not texting and driving and that you're not putting yourself in a situation where it's dangerous. There are a couple of apps out there that will let you create a call list in advance. And don't ask me the names of them, but I know that they're out there because I've talked about other reps with them before. But you can look at those in your notes. You could create a list of phone numbers where each of the phone numbers is hyperlinked. So you just click on it and move to the next one. But set it up so that you can just go to one number after the next number after the next number after the next number. If you can do that inside of Salesforce, that's just fine. You want to create the spreadsheet because if you talk to someone and get information, you want to be able to capture the information and put it in your CRM. If your company's crazy about tracking every call, you can go into Salesforce and say, I made the call. Truly, when you're doing stuff like that, it's only for your company, not for you. Like you'll know whether you called them or not. I'm agnostic about logging the actual call, especially with a field rep. It's more important that you make the call. Like if you're in a situation, Kyle, where like you got 10 minutes in between calls and you're sitting in your truck and you just peel off 5 dials, you're likely to speak to one of those. Most of them are going to go to voicemail. Yeah. And in your world, if you've got a phone number and you're calling someone in a construction site or home services, that number is probably their mobile number, so you can text them as well. And in a lot of cases, they're going to text you back. And that's why you got to be careful when you're driving. If you just talk to one person, you're only going to have one that you're going to put in. So over the course of, for me, like if I made 30 dials during a day, I'm typically going to set 2 appointments from that. That's been my number for a very long time. And that's part of it's just because I get messaging right. I'm good at handling objections. I build good lists and go through that process. You might only set an appointment with 1, or maybe it's 1 out of 60. There's going to be some number of those that you talk to, you grab information, and you need to make a note to yourself to follow up or have that information, which is going to indicate, say, a future buying window. Stop and take the time to do that. Maybe you got 5 minutes, you knock off the calls, you go see somebody, leave the construction site, get back in your truck, and then you make the notes. Or maybe you have to wait till the end of the day to put the notes in. But that's the way that you're going to do it. If you start trying to figure out how you're going to block time in a world like yours, where your job is essentially to be on the construction sites, having conversations with people, I think you're going to make yourself nuts. I think you're going to drive yourself crazy, like what you're doing right now, right?
Yeah.
So you choose the number that's right for you, and then you set that goal. And when you get up in the morning, you got a list ready to go. Set it up at night. So when you start off, you're probably getting your truck 6 o'clock in the morning to get on a job site at 7:30.
Yeah.
When you start off, that list is loaded, ready to go. And all you got to do is dial in between in the spaces, in the gaps.
Yeah, I love that. And building off of that too, like you talk about your platinum hours, like the ones that you're doing sort of not in your golden hours. What time do you think, like in the construction world, that would be? Because I find that activity runs from 7:30 a.m. to about 5, and especially too with the tying of the home services. Contractors, builders are really easy to get a hold of in the morning, and then homeowners are easier to get a hold of in the afternoon. So I'm just curious, when you look at like actually scheduling the platinum hours and putting those lists together, when would you sort of advise that?
Now, if you think about what you just said, right, you've got this sandwich, right? So you got like, you're a hustler, man. You're like early in the morning, late in the afternoon. I love it. But if you think about your world, right, you got a sandwich, and in the middle is not a lot of anything. So start thinking about, what if you scheduled 2 hours during the middle of the day? I bet you already have this time scheduled in, because you got to have time to do some admin work. So what I would say is, you run really hard in the morning, getting out, seeing on the construction sites. Then you've got some space in the middle of the day where it's a little bit light. That's when you start building your lists. And then you're running really hard at night. And when you get done at night, you're worn out, like you're tired, especially if you're out visiting homeowners and you've got orders to write. You got to get those things turned in. So that's probably taking a little bit more time. And you're not going to be really good at building a list that time of night. And in fact, I'm working on a new book right now, and I was doing the same thing. I pushed myself too far last night and I fell asleep right at my computer. Like, how stupid is that? But that'll happen to you. So what I would say is, your platinum hour is going to be right in the middle of the day when not a lot's happening. Take some time for lunch, unless you're taking someone to lunch. Work on your list then. And then one thing you might think about is, if you can peel off some time on Sunday evenings. That was always my best time to plan for the week, is maybe on Sunday evening, you just build yourself a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday list and already have that ready to rock and roll. Build a list of 100 names on Sunday, load that in, and just work that list all week.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I really like that. Like if you were to just do kind of like one big lump sum list, and then you could probably just make some tweaks like throughout the week as like inbound leads come in and stuff like that. That would be a good idea. Yeah, because I've been trying to implement that like daily thing of sitting down at like 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning, putting the list together. And let me tell you, never the most effective use of time.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Kyle, I just want to let you know we love Canadians. We really do. Despite what you hear, we think Canadians are awesome.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Really appreciate it, Jeb. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. See you later. Bye. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to click like and subscribe so you never miss a single video. And if you want more sales training content, go to learn.salesgravy.com.